Hey everyone, Merch Hunter Ricky here, and I want to do a little bit of a different video today. My namesake is literally Merch Hunter Ricky, and I haven't done a merch video since I moved out of my old apartment. And main reason being is that I have most of my figurines in storage, so I wouldn't really be able to do a good showcase with them anymore. But for the time being, I've decided to get a couple ones out, and while going out on a little bit of a run today with my daughter, just checking out what new things are in some stores around the area, I found One Piece items at nearly every store that I frequent. And this is the first time in my life, and I'm 31, that this has happened. So I decided to share with everyone today just a little bit of a snippet of where you can expect to find One Piece merch now, because where I live is kind of a pretty decently sized commercial area, which means that if it's where I have it, like if it's in my area, it's most likely going to be in areas around the United States and maybe across the world very soon. I'm not too sure how and when certain areas of the world like Europe and Australia, for example, get their merch, like when they do and when they don't. So, you'll have to go to your respective country's place to look at when to expect One Piece gear. Maybe check their online store first. But as far as here in America goes, I found just about every possible piece of One Piece gear I could want and conceivably think of within like a 4-mile radius, from a local comic book shop that I've been going to like my whole life, to a pretty big, decent sized secondhand book retailer store called Second and Charles. And then down in the mall where I live, there's like a bookstore, like a Barnes and Noble or a Books A Million. I forget the name. It's the bookstore. But in between all the manga sections was like dedicated One Piece rows, because One Piece is pretty big now in America and obviously across the world. So a lot of people are trying to go and get their hands on it. And just the fact that these 3 stores have One Piece is mind-blowing to me, because my whole life I've been a One Piece fan, and I can remember back as far as 2012 trying to find One Piece gear when I finally had like my own money and stuff like that, right? And there was never One Piece gear in our area. And now it seems that it's not just like New York and LA that's going to have One Piece stuff anymore, which is fantastic news for the rest of us One Piece fans that might not be in those, major hot capitals of the United States. Because, DC doesn't actually get good One Piece gear almost ever until it's already been out for like 3 or 4 months, I've noticed. But here where I live, a little bit south of DC, it's kind of crazy because, I'm going to my local comic book store and I'm seeing the WCFs. I got my wife for her birthday an Ulti. I'll put some B-roll of that. I went and earlier today and I got 2 keychains of like in a completely new One Piece set that I've never seen before. And it's all of them from Wano, which is fantastic, because that also means that like with an Ulti and a couple One Piece keychains, they're right behind me for the B-roll. But being so readily available is crazy, because that doesn't just mean that One Piece is popular right now, but it's also what's current. And just in my mall alone, there was like 3 or 4 different stores to get One Piece gear from. So if you're thinking of starting a collection and you never knew how to start, or you just don't know where to take the jump from, I highly suggest going to a bookstore if, obviously if you're looking for the manga, because right now, when I went to my secondhand retailer bookstore and at Books A Million, they literally have volumes 1 through 4 of One Piece. And, the Thriller Bark Water 7 one is not easy to get to. That one, I think that's volume 3, or book box set 3. I had to wait almost a year and a half of looking on Amazon to see one pop up for way too much money. And then when I went to my bookstore recently, and this one was actually about like 6-7 months ago that I got all 4 One Piece volume box sets. So I officially have all of current One Piece, and then I bought myself volume 100, and now I've noticed that the comic book store I go to even has a volume 101 and stuff like that. So it's really easy now. Just at the comic book store alone, there was like, I want to say just the single mangas, they had maybe like from chapter 20 to around chapter 40, or not chapter 20, but volume 20 to volume like 45, which is a lot. You know, that's a lot of One Piece that someone could just buy right then and there. It would be a little overpriced, but you know, that's what happens when you buy them singles instead of the box set. But there was also film red action figures. Just, they had everyone from Bartolomeo, Luffy, they had Law and Beppo, then they also had Uta herself and Shanks. Like, that's so many people. Then a little bit further down in the comic book store, I saw just two little action figures for Luffy. One of them is like the Hero Arts one. I forgot what it's a Bandai Namco brand, but I think it's like Anime Heroes line. They had Luffy and they had Usopp, I think. And you know, going back to the bookstores I went to, they both had, I want to say, over 20 just like sections, like little individual sections of One Piece gear. So at this point, you know, it's not going to be too far off to where there's dedicated anime stores that have entire One Piece sections in their store. Because the dedicated anime store in my area happens to have like a Dragon Ball Z section, a general anime section, and then I think a My Hero Academia and a Naruto section. And then within the more popular sections, instead of just the general anime sections, I've noticed they sprinkle One Piece gear throughout. But I'm just really excited because like I said, I've never seen One Piece gear so open and available before. And that's pretty much the whole reason why I made this video, because, you know, like I said at the opening, I am Merch Hunter Ricky, so the whole reason I started this channel is because of the merch. And when I had to shift my lifestyle a little bit, I kind of lost sight of that, but that's why I also changed my slogan to spreading the love of merch, manga, and anime one video at a time. So I've been Merch Hunter Ricky, and I really appreciate you all watching the channel, and I hope you all have a good day.